So here I am sitting in a garden in Saarbrücken in Germany, just next to the French border, and I'm sitting with Nassim Haramein from Hawaii. Here am I from England, and we meet in the bottom left-hand corner of Germany, almost in France. And Nassim is one of the world's top theoretical physicists, and he showed us something yesterday which is not yet published, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. But has solved one of the fundamental problems in physics. And if just desserts are given, it will get a Nobel Prize. It's that sort of significant.
Thank you.
And what what you portrayed yesterday was something which is very, very interesting. That physics, in fact science as a whole, has been concerning itself with a tiny, tiny fraction of 1% of everything in the universe. And what you showed to us yesterday was that 99.99% of the universe is space. But it's not empty, is it?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I'm excited about, these equations, and I'm really doing this not for prizes, but for evolution and for humanity as a whole. But is that the vacuum, or what we call space, is not empty at all, and we've known that for almost 100 years in quantum theory, but it was never really applied to the physical world, the classical world of the world we experience every day. And I think that was an error that needed to be understood, and that this energy in the vacuum is not just a result, but actually is the source of the material world. It's 99.99999% of everything. That's how much vacuum there is in an atom. And so that the material world, we start to understand that the material world is actually like the 0.00001% is actually just an effect of the structure of the vacuum itself, so that it's no longer matter defining space, but it's actually space that defines matter.
So life isn't just a little bit of fleck upon some piece of matter. Life is the entire universe, expressing itself occasionally through little pieces of matter.
That's right. It's like, it really is like a deeper understanding of the source of the material world, that it's actually a function of a field that is much larger than the field that we can measure around an object, that it's a field that everything is bathing in and feeding from, and feeding information back into, that there's this dynamical relationship between everything and this field.
It reminds me somewhat of something which happened to me when I was about 12, when I got my first astrophysics book in my hand. I got this picture from just looking at it of the universe as a sort of rubber sheet, if you like, that when something causes the rubber sheet to be depressed, it then creates matter.
That's right. And that's very good. I mean, that's a good idea, and it's very similar to what Einstein visualized when he wrote general relativity. He was describing space and time like a sheet, the surface of a trampoline, that you would put a mass on it, and it would bend the surface. It would bend the trampoline so that it would create space-time curvature, as we call it, and another mass put on that sheet, put on that trampoline, would tend to gravitate towards the first mass, because the space-time manifold, the structure of space-time, is curved around the mass. And that's very similar to what you just described. But the thing is that if you don't describe where mass comes from, where it originates from, then you are describing gravity based on mass, but you're not saying what mass is. And this is where I think we're getting to with some of the equations I'm writing, is that mass is a function of the structure of the vacuum itself, meaning that it's not something, but it's actually a result of space-time curling into these little vortices that create depressions, you know, just like water going down the drain, so that when the spiral is created as it's going down the drain, you see the water is curving, and that's what's producing the curvature in space-time. So it's a deeper level of understanding of what mass is that is related directly to this energy of the vacuum spinning in that region of space, producing a gravitational field.
So it's rather like an eddy in a stream, or a Schauberger vortex. Now, I know I'm springing this on you because you've not had a chance to see it yet, but some of the experiments we've been doing with the harmonic omega, and which greatly enhances human intention, I've been able to create Schauberger vortex in city water, so the water actually cleans itself.
Oh, that's
so you're actually using a vortex to change the structure of matter.
Right, and you know, I think that many experiments need to be done using concepts that Schauberger and Walter Russell and Tesla brought forward, that like the vorticular dynamics of space-time itself can be you know, altered and worked with to reproduce natural phenomena that you see in nature everywhere, but that you can reproduce in laboratory to create energy, extract energy directly out of space-time, or create gravitational fields. Because if space-time curves because there's eddies in it, then you know it's a straight engineering path to understanding how to create gravity by producing eddies in space-time and so on. So there is very powerful possibilities that emerge from this new view, that this field we're bathing in has very specific geometric and mechanical dynamics that we can understand, that has to do with spin and vorticity and fluid dynamics, and then when we understand that, our world is going to completely change.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but up till now, in order to create electric energy, for example, we've been concerning ourselves with a tiny fraction of 1%, a tiny fraction of 1%, a tiny fraction of ever so many tinies of 1% of matter, using tremendous effort to create a little bit of electricity.
Right.
At an enormous cost.
Right.
Not only in cash terms, but in environmental terms, when really we've been sitting bathing in unlimited electrical power all the time, and we've just been not put the plug in.
That's right. We need to log on to the universal net, you know, and in the universal net, when you look at the result of it, when you look at the universe, we don't live in a universe which lacks energy. You know, the sun is burning continuously for millions, billions of years. You know, galaxies, stars, like black holes, like huge energy events everywhere we look in the universe. Even the, you know, a hurricane with all its electrical discharges and ionization and so on. Nature is an extremely energetic system, and so you gotta look at the base. Where does it extracts its energy from, and how? And when you start to understand these principles, then you can reproduce the same principle that nature uses to extract energy from this field that we're all interacting in, that connects us all. And then you become harmonious with nature because your technology is using the same principle that everything in the natural world uses. So most likely it's going to have a very, very low negative environmental impact. It's probably going to have a very positive life-enhancing impact on plants and animals and people around it. so that all of a sudden you are going in your society, instead of using the entropic side of the universe, the part of the universe that's radiating and that's going towards further disorder, is starting to tap into the entropic side, the order side of the universe, the part that creates coherency instead of the part that creates incoherency.
And so the energy potential is orders of magnitude greater.
Absolutely. It's the numbers are staggering when you do the mathematics. Like if we were to extract 1/1000000000 of a billionth of a billion percent of the energy available in a cubic inch of energy from the vacuum, which is extremely high. It's measured in quantum physics in laboratory, and and we were to extract that, we would have enough power to run the whole planet, and for thousands and thousands of years out of a centimeter cube of space. So it's really an incredible potential. It's really a step that humanity must make at this time. And I think it's a step that most civilization in the universe must have made in their evolution at one time or another, so that they would become self-sustaining and even thriving, and even become societies that have a larger capacity than just the surface of their planet, so that they could travel in their solar system, they could travel in the galaxy, and even inside in the universe. And because there is very, very important application of this to space travel.
So correct, just to make sure we've got this right, you're not talking about nuclear power, you're talking about a source of power which is environmentally zero.
Right, it's the power at the source of nuclear power. It's a power before nuclei occurs, before matter occurs. It's a source of creation, not using the energy after creation, but using the energy before creation, the source of the material world, which is a well of energy that's almost infinite in nature. In quantum theory, it's calculated at 10 to the 93 grams per centimeter cube, which is an extraordinary number. 10 with 93 zeros is an extremely huge number inside a centimeter cube of space.
That's pretty good numbers, but does that imply that we have to make some changes to ourselves? I mean, we have a planet right now which is controlled by greed and not by humanity, not by human ethic values. Do we not have to make enormous steps in that direction as well? Otherwise we're going to burn our fingers.
Right. I think that's coming along at the same time. As we're discovering more and more this, and we're understanding deeper and deeper the physics of nature, and these equations that I was showing yesterday, that pretty well proves that all protons, all atoms are connected to all other atoms in the universe. We're starting to realize that we're all connected. We're starting to experience ourselves as a one system, as a unity system, instead of separated and individualized. And as we do this, I think our ethics are going to change as we realize that we're all connected, as these physics come along and help us understand why we're all connected, meaning that the space between you and I is not empty, and all the atoms that makes up you and all the atoms that makes up me are connected through these little wormholes that connects all things in the universe through this vacuum fluctuations.